Today, we're going to talk about booking your band, booking you as an artist, how to kind of break in. I want to thank you guys. First off, Micah, it's great to see you. John, great to see you. Mary, thank you. Carly and Daryl for doing this. You guys are all heavily involved in booking for various projects, various venues, etc. So what I'd love to do is I'd just love to go down the line and tell me kind of what you're involved in as far as booking is concerned, and what venue you're representing today.
Hi, y'all. Micah Vasquez here. I'm the booking for Lubbock Listening Room, and what it originally started out as is I wanted to highlight local artists that I wanted to have an environment for them that wasn't a restaurant or wasn't a loud bar where they could play their originals and not have to fill a 3-hour time slot, essentially, where they got the attention they deserve and that they're looking for here in Lubbock. We started out bouncing around different venues and different businesses and highlighting not just local artists, but local musicians. And then I landed over at Johnny Velvet's, and it just happened to be the perfect environment to upscale what I had originally started. So what it's shifted into is now I want to keep half of what I book local artists. I really want to keep it 806 friendly for the most part, but now it's starting to grow to where we're bringing in some out-of-town folks that I'm trying to really hard to keep the theme of either they're from 806 or moved to 806 or had some influence here in Lubbock and highlight those artists. So whenever I book, I try to keep that in mind. Then the whole concept that we're doing is a hyper-focused 45-minute original song set, and then we upscaled it by doing it with John Taylor and Johnny Velvet, and then he can speak to his side of it as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm John Taylor with Johnny Velvet. Micah said, kind of introduce a little bit about what we're doing here, but I'm coming at it as the venue owner. Johnny Velvet, we're a t-shirt, screen print, and embroidery shop. But my background is I'm a musician, live sound engineer, studio engineer, and t-shirt screen printer now, and now a venue / t-shirt shop. So when Micah came to me and we kind of started talking about like the listening room and the things that he was doing with it, we kind of thought, man, it would be cool to have one spot that everybody can come to. It's a consistent thing, and then we can also work on building like the quality and the experience of the whole event. And so it is a acoustic show, but it's a little more than that. It's more like business professionals get together. We offer hors d'oeuvres and drinks, and the whole package is included in your ticket price. So. And we also wanted just to make a place that people can come and like have their undivided attention to listen to the artist. And that's been great, especially talking with all the artists afterwards. They're just like, man, I don't remember the last time I had everybody's attention. And there's been a lot of people who have seen the artists around town play, but after that show, they're like, wow, like I did not realize they were, whatever about it, because they actually had the opportunity to sit and listen for 45 minutes and not be distracted by waiters or TVs and the whole thing, in a similar environment like here at the Cactus, like you come here to listen to what's happening here. And our venue's small, we can do about 60 chairs. So, and that also makes it unique where all of the artists, they get to hang out with everybody that comes before and after. And that's kind of part of like the deal is like, hey, you don't just come, play, and leave. Like you got to be there before, you got to meet everybody, get to know them, and then they get to build more of a relationship with their fans and the people that came to see them. And it generally has been great for both sides, as the attendee getting to like meet and talk and like get to hear about how their travel went or whatever, how they got to Lubbock and that experience where, any other place you would go, you probably wouldn't get to even meet them or talk to them. So they get to kind of, be a little more involved in the whole evening, and it's been a pretty special thing.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Hogan. I'm the programs manager at LHUCA. So one of the things that I do is I do the booking for the First Friday Art Trail, and we also do our own in-house performances. LHUCA is an art space, so we have a contemporary gallery, but we also have a firehouse theater that seats about 160. So we usually do rent that out to different theater groups, but we have started doing our own in-house shows. So I'll book bands in there sometimes. We have our Battle of the Bands competition that's actually coming up really soon. We're going to be opening that up for submissions on December 30th. And then we do all sorts of festivals and things like that. But the main thing that we really do is the First Friday Art Trail booking. So that can be on our plaza stage that's outside. We have our Ice House, which is a multi-use event space, and we have used it as a stage when weather does not work with us. And then we have our Firehouse Theater as well. So I work on booking that. I also work with connecting musicians that want to perform at First Friday to the other spots that are on the art trail that are down in the Cultural Arts District.
Hi, my name is Carly Dumental, and I am here with the Hotel Turkey. But as far as booking goes, I don't think there's a part of the booking industry that I don't have a hand in at the moment, like Micah and Johnny. I've been on the performing side of it too, so I know what it's like to send an email and never hear back from it. But then also on the Hotel Turkey side of it, we have a very diverse music program that covers just about every kind of show that you could. We do have those 3-hour restaurant shows. We have the listening room shows. We have the big stage concert shows, and we have a theater in town that we partner with that we've started doing theater style shows as well. I also help with the booking for Bob Wills Day, which is a nonprofit organization. That's a whole nother beast in terms of booking as well. But the biggest part that I can say on my role in booking is that it's one giant network, and that network, I think I'm also like an unofficial member of the Lubbock Listening Room team. I've catered the Lubbock Listening Room, and I think most of the photographs are photographs that I've used. So, as far as the music booking and the music industry world goes, it's one big giant network, and understanding all those networks is a big part of being successful in this industry. And I'm in Turkey, Texas, for those of you guys. I just assume most of the time that people know where Turkey is, and that's not true. Turkey is about an hour and a half from here. We're a small community of 300 people. We have put on about, I would have to go back and count, but I think we probably put on about 220 shows for the year, between 200 and 220 shows a year of different sizes and different crowds and things like that. We work with local artists, we work with regional artists and national touring artists. A solo acoustic all the way up to full band production are the kind of shows that we put on.
That is way impressive. That's a lot of shows. Well, as y'all know, I run the Cactus Theater here. Purchased it 8.5 years ago from Don Caldwell, who had come in here in the mid-90s and with a group of investors, about 20 investors altogether, I think, and they purchased this theater that had been shuttered for all those years and revived it. And so, as a longtime Lubbock guy and big music fan, I had actually promoted a couple of shows here, kind of, I guess, going back to how I kind of got started. 20 years ago, something like that, decided that I wanted to follow my passion, which was booking shows. I wanted it to be my passion. My passion was the music, and I wanted to figure out how I could be part of that. And so I kind of backed into promoting the hard way. I learned real quick about working with venues and trying to rent the space and book the artists and pay the advertising, and then there's supposed to be something left at the end, but as the promoter. But I learned real quick, and I'm still learning. 25 years later, you still learning every day. But I learned real quick how to fail miserably at trying to do something that you love, and so I had to kind of start working my way back organically and trying to figure out, okay, there's a business side to it, there's the passion side. How do you do this? And it was really difficult. And so until I really saw a way to enter into the scene as a venue owner, that was really when it kind of crystallized for me that, okay, I can make this work, but I can't pay all these different fees and expect to have anything left, because then it's just a very expensive hobby. And so anyway, I did shows all over town. I did one at Jake's. I did one at the Lubbock Auditorium, Civic Center Theater. Just different places around. And I wanted, my goal was also when I started out, I wanted to say that I booked a show at least in every sizable venue in town. That was kind of a goal, which was kind of a fun thing, but kind of foolish in the sense that it really doesn't matter where you book it, it's got to be successful, right? So you learn these things through the, osmosis and through trial and error, and losing enough money, you start getting smarter, And but anyway, the opportunity to purchase the Cactus came along, and Don was looking for a succession and how to keep this thing alive, and so. He said, "You're the guy," and I felt like I was. I came from a business background and built other businesses and knew the promotion end of those, marketing and investment and building something from the ground up from my other ventures. So that's how I came into the Cactus fold, so to speak. And so I book shows here and have booked a couple of shows over at Buddy Holly Hall. Got Air Supply there here in about 3 weeks. Big 80s band y'all may have heard of. Anyway, had Jason Isbell there last year, and have several things kind of always in play. It's hard to make it gel and just find just the right thing, and they've got so many things going on over there. It's hard to make that the dates all line up. But that is one of my passions, is trying to bring as many shows as I can, things that hopefully will matter to people, and hopefully something that is maybe a little bit outside the boundaries of what people might expect. So have a lot of fun with it.
Guys, one of the things that I think is really amazing is as each of you are talking, is there's clearly a passion for music. I mean, yeah, you all have to succeed in business. You have to survive. You have to eat. But I hear each of you talking about that, and I'm really grateful for that. Having been in those trenches and toured for 20 years, seeing people who want to create great listening experiences, man, that means the world. We'll go in opposite order since you've got the mic down there. Daryl, tell me kind of a little bit about your decision-making process for when you book somebody. Are you the only guy that does booking here, or do you have a team, or is it just you? And kind of what are you looking for, especially aimed? Obviously, we know national stuff, but especially on a local level, right, how that might play out.
Yep, I have the whole ball of wax here. Outside of. Spencer's on sound today. He's our production manager. Spencer Wells back there does a fantastic job, makes this place sound like $1 million. And so outside of Spencer on sound and my wife in the box office and our concession crew, this is it.
Yep.
I mean, I have about 12 jobs around here. I do everything, including scrubbing toilets, and plunging toilets when the time arises. But part of my thing is these touring acts. I've really put an emphasis on touring acts, whether it be regional, national, international. So when we book these, sometimes they have support traveling with them. Not near as much as you'd think, but sometimes they come as a package, and so they'll, a regional act will hook up. Say American Aquarium's coming through. They may hook up with the Texas artist, and they go do 4 or 5 venues, and then they drop off, and then they go on to the next region and whatnot. So when it comes to an opening act, we like to have an opener so it not only stretches the show, but it gives us an intermission. Again, talking about the business end of it, we need that concession area turn in some dollars, and people enjoy the show. They've got, we have a full, family friendly side, popcorn, candy, Coke, theater style, and then the other side is their Cactus Cantina, right? So, depending on the show, we may sell a lot more popcorn and soft drinks. The other side, the flip side of that is we sell a lot more bar drinks and very little soft drinks. So that's reason that we book an opener most often, is that we want to give a full evening, create an intermission, a break for the concessions and everything. And so I obviously try to pair similar, same genre, something that's not too far, left of center of what the main act is. It's got to make sense. So if we're doing a jazz show or something, I may call, Jerry Serrano or it could be anybody. It could be Haley Burton. It could be, whoever that I'd like to have on the stage. And if they're available, that's great. So I have some folks in mind that we've worked with. And then I'm always looking for new talent. I always want to know who's out there, who's coming up. But that's kind of how we do it, is we try to pair things that make sense. And, sometimes I'll have an opportunity to kind of flip the script. Say you've got a male artist, I'd like to have a female opener or whatever. Try to kind of give equal time, that type of deal. I try to really bring something new and different, kind of give people something they're not expecting. So that's kind of my approach.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, and I think you've been really successful at that. There's a lot of artists that I know that have, cut their teeth opening here, and that's been a wonderful thing. Carly, how about you?
I am very lucky. So we, in preparation for this event, and they sent us the questions and all that sort of stuff. Because when I first got asked to do this, I was like, "What's our booking process?" I don't know. It just happens. That's how it feels like. But I thought there's no rhyme or reason to this. But thinking about this and thinking about some other things that we have going on at the hotel has really helped kind of crystallize philosophies or like best practices or, just the ideas of what we're trying to do at the hotel. I'm very fortunate that my business partners, Pat and Tina Carson, that originally bought the hotel back in 2015, are just as big of music fans as I am. We have all three had very different experiences in the music industry. Like I said, I've been on the performance side of it. They've been more on the fan side of it. But, like Pat booked all the music for Bob Wills Day for 25 years. And so that gives him access to a Rolodex of people that's completely different than the access I have to the Texas music scene and things like that. So it's a double-edged sword. I have some wonderful business partners that when we don't hit the mark on booking, we get to share the blame. But then, sometimes we have to go around in circles about what are we doing and how are we doing it. And the best part about it is that we all have a real big passion for live, original, independent music. So I get to work with some great people on that. So I'm not the sole decision maker on my venues side. And we have, like I said before, we have a very varied music program where we work with the solo acoustic artists. We have people that are just now, figuring out their identity as a performer. We have people that this is their hobby, and we have a space for them to do that. We have an opportunity for people to, especially locally, and my local region can stretch from Amarillo, Lubbock, Wichita Falls. Sometimes I even consider Fort Worth my local area. But we have a great opportunity for local acts to test out full band stuff, whether it be on an opening gig or a smaller full band show. And in addition to that, we do what I like to say about the hotel is that I can't guarantee you the kind of music that you're going to hear from any given Friday night or a Sunday afternoon or anything like that, but it's always going to be good. So whether it is that jazz or that blues, we don't have a lot of jazz artists, but we have had some. But yeah, it is. But we have Western swing out there, and that's practically jazz. So there's a real opportunity for just about every genre and level of performer at my venue. I am, again, incredibly lucky that my venue we're not just a performance hall. You talk about you've got to think about the economic aspects of it. And it's really fun when you're on the performer side of it. If you understand what the competing interests of the venue are on why they might say yes or no, it might help understand and lessen the blow if you get a no. But we have the hotel, which has 20 rooms. We have a bar. We have a restaurant. We have a gift shop. So I have multiple income streams in which our philosophy is about 95% of ticket revenue always goes back to the artist at our particular venue after we pay for expenses like sound production. We do a lot of in-house sound work. I'm the most begrudging sound person in the entire world. So if anybody is looking to move to Turkey, Texas and needs a sound gig, I have a venue for you. But we do most of that in-house. But when we have our big stage shows or we've got a certain kind of performer that I know that I'm not quite up to snuff to provide sound for them, we have to bring that in and we have to factor that into, can we afford to do this show? Can we afford to book this show? But there's a lot of competing interest in that. There's a lot of room for different outcomes at our venue. And like I said, fortunately, I have really great partners that we we get to take some risks and most of the time it's a pretty big reward. So. And I also feel like, Scott, I'm going to need you to repeat the question every time you get to me because
Okay, I'll
I'm
do
going to,
that.
because I'm like,
Sorry.
okay, what am I supposed to be talking
Wait a
about?
minute. And my favorite color is blue. All right, Mary, tell us kind of a bit about your decision-making process for booking and how that works.
Yeah, so I do all the booking at LHUCA. So for the First Friday Art Trail, it's a little bit unique in that we get about 5,000 to 7,000 people every month through the space. So I try to keep in mind that it's transient when I book. So I intentionally plan a headlining act every first Friday that will really grab the attention and keep butts in seats essentially. But we are also grant funded, so I have to juggle how much we have for our budget every year. So I usually book a year out. So that means I need to get creative with if I'm booking a solo artist that we can afford to pay, while also booking a headliner that fits, that is equitable pay for that musician, just to give everybody a great opportunity and also provide a really quality experience. So I try to keep my pulse on the local talent in Lubbock, follow other groups on Instagram to see who they're booking, try to go to as many shows as I can. That's really one of the fun parts of my job is that I get to, if I'm gonna go to a show at Jake's, I can kind of leave work early and say it's for research. So another thing is our programs tend to feed into each other. So with our Battle of the Bands competition, every band that submits, I keep their information. So if maybe they didn't do as well in the competition, I can still give them an opportunity to perform at the First Friday Art Trail. So I try to build the reserve of talent that I can pull from for the booking. For some other things that we do at LHUCA, if I'm booking something through our Firehouse Presents program, I try to get either a regional or state artist to come in for that. And I try to book really diversely. So I'll book, y'all are talking about jazz, I'll try to book jazz groups, I book Tejano groups, I book Clement Hall, who has that, or Velvet Grove, I guess they have that more 60s vibe. So I try to keep it really diverse with the groups that we're bringing in because LHUCA is such a kind of cultural arts center. So it's really fun. It makes it interesting to book, and I really feel like we can cater to different groups, but I do try to group within themes. So if I have a jazz headliner, I try to link that with a jazz group. If I have a country band, I try to get a singer-songwriter who has more of those vibes, so it's a more cohesive experience. Then we have the odd things that we do at LHUCA, like the Hub City Renaissance Fair. So I get to sweet talk some bands to learn Flogging Molly's sets, and then it really just works to work with local groups and get to know them to bring new experiences out. So yeah, it's fun.
It's fantastic. Thank you. John, how about you? Kind of decision-making process for how you guys are booking and what you're looking for there.
Yeah, so we do one show a month. So we're able to take our time and kind of plan it out and kind of think through all that stuff, which is nice because if we had to book every night, it's a lot of work. And the shows we put on, it's so much work to put in to make them come off because we have to have it catered and all the little details, and especially trying to make it something special. So we also want that to be part of the music. We want it to be a really special thing. And like Carly was saying, I think mostly just the networking of knowing people and playing in bands and so far it's been just people that we know and that we've played with mostly, whether it's recently or 15, 20 years ago, and so that's kind of where we are now. And luckily we only have to do 12 of them a year, so we still have between both of us maybe a year or so in our bag of what we're going to do. But yeah, we're just kind of looking for, and our venue's small, and we're the business model is we're not trying to make money doing it. That would be awesome, but because we're such a small venue, you just have to charge so much for a ticket price to make anything profitable. So we just try to provide a lot and then make that ticket enough that we can kind of cover everything. When we think of who we're going to bring in, it's going to live up to that? Are we going to be able to do that, or is it going to come out of our pockets, basically? Yeah. And we've had shows. Most of the time we make roughly even, and then we've had shows where oh wow, we're $1,200 in the hole on this show, and then others were oh cool, we made an extra $500, so whatever. But for me, it's not about making money. It's about making that experience and cool. And then my T-shirt shop, that's I joke. I'm well, I made that so I can have a sugar mama, and to do the things I want to do, and being able to do the things I want to do well. Yeah. And then Micah's really the person that he gets the more requests for people wanting to play the shows and stuff, and I'm not sure how you really handle that. But there's about 6 of us involved in the listening room, and so when it comes time to like start planning and booking, we throw a bunch of names on the table and we kind of talk about pros and cons and like just kind of see, and then also like, are they available, and then is their price like, even can we even get close to that or whatever. So
I think that's fantastic, and I think that's a beautiful thing that I actually see a trend happening where people who actually own a business use a part of their profit. Obviously, that when that $1,200 is, you're in the hole, that comes from somewhere. That comes from you selling T-shirts. You know what I mean? And I think it's beautiful that people are willing to reinvest in the community like that. Yeah, Mike.
So we've had to reshape a little bit. The original concept of the listening room was I wanted to keep it strictly 806, and I wanted someone that lived here, it was currently in the music scene, someone from here that doesn't live here anymore but grew up in Lubbock, and then a local legend, what I would call, I don't want to shout out the generations, but my dad, Junior Vasquez, Carrie Banks, Kenny Maines, all of our founding fathers of the Lubbock music scene. So I keep a slot open for them, and then an up-and-coming artist. And now we've shifted into, like, again, I'm mostly keeping it to someone that's at least related to 806, whether they've been to Tech or grew up playing at the Blue Light. But now we're starting to have to break out of it, which is great, which is really awesome. But so shifting into what we're booking now, and what we have to consider is someone that is professional and does have stories to tell, because it's strictly original music. We're here to hear your story, to uplift what you are as an artist, not for profit by any means, but just to create something that artists typically don't get to have. So we have a glorified, again, very short 45 minutes. We've had some where, we say 45 minutes, but the audience always asks for more. And that's what I love about it, is no one's ever tired of the music, which is a really good thing for us. But right now, we're actually starting to open up opening slots. That I think that's going to be the new saved for the local artists. Someone that may have only 5 or 6 originals, but where our opening slot is like a 5-10 minute, play your 3 originals, get a little taste of how it feels to play in front of a group like that, and then you get to hang out with our headliner and stuff. So that's actually our new thing that we're doing. I think that's, as I'm talking about it, that's probably where I'll keep it 806 protected as we shift into bringing in bigger artists.
I love that. How do you like performers to approach you? We have artists in the audience. They'd like to play the listening room. How do you want to be approached? What works?
For me personally, face to face. I'll always answer all the emails and the Instagram messages and Facebook messages. But generally, all of us are artists on stage, and what invokes us to book probably is that we've seen you or we've interacted with you, and again, we're not. I'm not really wanting to make too much profit off of this. I want to highlight music as a musician and give a platform to someone that I see as special. I don't go off of Spotify spins or how long you've been doing necessarily. Like if I just have a connection with you, I'm like, oh, all right, and you need to be heard. That's kind of the way I like to approach it.
How about you, John? You have anything to add to that?
We get, I'll get, since it's usually at Johnny Velvet, so I'll get a lot of emails with people, and most of the time, just like a professional email, like, hey, let us know, hey, the dates you're coming through town, here's a link to music. Just make it very simple and easy, because even the easiest you could make it still for me is I've got a billion other things to do, just now when I got here, I was told Carrie, man, the second you leave your office to come do something cool, everything blows up, and it's just I can't handle all the information. Yeah, so just make it simple, and professional, and then even if you swung by the shop or something, make it quick, and cool, that's great. I'd love to meet you. I'd rather meet you in person than through an email, but and then also respecting our time, and then hey, we probably we may have to sift through tons of things, and it's not a personal thing if we don't get back to you or whatever. It's just it's just a lot to do and handle. So
Yeah, I think the same thing because we do tend to do a lot of high volume like booking and programming. I really appreciate a prepared email. I love an EPK. I don't like when I have to try to find the information or find the band's information, or if it's kind of incomplete, especially if we are getting so many other emails that have a really polished setup. So I'm more inclined to go with somebody that I think is going to be prepared, because to me that kind of reflects how that musician might be in person when I'm trying to coordinate them with like our sound tech, get them all set up with load in, all of that good stuff. So the musicians that seem really like excited about what they do, who seem really prepared, and who have their media and music set up in order to send it out, those are usually the people that I want to book.
Mary, you mentioned the word or the letters EPK. Would you address that real quick? Sorry, Carly.
Yeah, the electronic press kit, which usually has all the media that we would need for marketing. So it includes the bios, it includes the photos, it includes links, especially with things like Battle of the Bands. If we have to track down like your MP3 file, like if we have to track down your music, we can't share it. And so it just ends up being a wild goose chase. So just all in that pretty little package is great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I used to teach a class called Performance and Promotion for the Independent Artists, which, oh man, I'll spot you a 20 for that later. Carly, how do you like performers to approach you for gigs over there?
I don't know. That's a really hard question, and especially because of how many different kind of shows we book. And I want to circle back around to the first question for just a second, because I don't think I got all the points out that I wanted to. My process for booking is because there are different businesses associated with our music program. One day the overwhelming problem might be the plumbing. I might not be music booking, might not be the thing that I'm focused on that day. And just because you sent the email that day doesn't mean that you deserve less of a shot to get the show than the guy that emailed me on the day that I was actually thinking about booking. It can be really challenging. So my process is I try and look at the calendar year, and I think about my music program as a whole. What kind of music are we presenting? Are we giving a diverse sound to our audience? Is this a weekend where I know that there's going to be 14 birthday parties on the back patio, and I don't want to book a musician that needs a quiet environment that'll feel alienated from their audience? I need to book somebody that loves requests, that's their thing. So I need to know what my audience is wanting or receptive for on that day, and pair it with the kind of artist. Because if I don't do my job right and I put quiet room, listening room type environment person in front of the audience that is going to be cheersing their beers and calling out requests for Robert Earl Keen, I've done both of my audiences a disservice, and my performer is going to walk away and be like, man, is it me? Am I the problem? And really it was me. I'm the programmer. I'm the one that's supposed to know the two sides of it. The audience that shows up doesn't know what they're getting, and the performer that comes in, it's not their responsibility to create my crowd. So it's my job to plug those two in together. And so trying to look at my year as a whole, and is this an acoustic date? Is this a full band show? Does it need to be a big stage show? Do I want to bring in a legacy act like we had the Great Divide? Do I want to bring in an up-and-coming act like a Slade Coulter and really kind of take a chance on a big guarantee with a big show? And that's that. I'm looking at my calendar as a whole. I booked something for October 2025, you guys. That's absolutely insane that we're talking about October. You might be talking about 2026, but October 2025, that's crazy to me. But I'm looking at the thing as a whole and knowing, and it's also my responsibility as a venue promoter, booker, owner to know what's out there. I need to be checking Jerry Serrano's Instagram on Monday nights to see who's performing at Blue Light, so that when so-and-so sends me an email like, yeah, I saw that guy's name on there, I need to be aware of the musical acts that are coming through the Cactus, because I have booked opening acts at the Cactus as headliners at my venue, because I know that they're the quality that they're going to have here already. Looking at other people's calendars, and like we've had several Lubbock listening artists that they play my venue before or they play it after as a routing for Lubbock Listening Room. So while how you send your email is incredibly important, and how you send your text message, like I need a one click. Like I love it when they hyperlink it so it's a different color than the rest of the email and I can just go straight to the music. That's fantastic. Send me one great photo of you, not because I care what you look like, but because I know that I'll have something to use for promotion later on, and I'm not going to have to hunt down a good photo or take one of you. I do that a lot. A new artist will come to my venue and I'll be like, you're leaving with one good photo because you need it for your press. And then the respectful follow-ups, because maybe you did catch me on a day where I was having staffing issues and I was on the fryer, and I just did not see your email. I really appreciate that. And then the people that the way that they text, like if they get my phone number from somebody, always let me know who you got my phone number from. Like when somebody, my phone number's out there, like for people to, like on different stuff, it's out there so you can get it if you don't know me. But if BA is the one that gave you my phone number and he's the one that's vouching for you, I know who to call and be like, okay, did you give me this phone number because you wanted him to stop harassing you? Or is this somebody I should take seriously? Let me know how you got my phone number. That's super important too. But I actually don't like Instagram messages because I'm terrible about checking them. Facebook messages are hard too. So if you don't get if you don't get an answer on an Instagram, even if it says read, like I've gone back and seen that I've read messages, but I never saw it. Send the email. And especially with me, like I've got business partners that are invested in the decision making as well. They might see the email and say, "Hey, Carly, did you see so and so emailed you? Did you want to get back to them?" I think email is probably the best way.
How about you, Daryl?
Well, I don't get a whole lot of people advancing, their services or their talents to me. I seek them out typically. In other words, I might call a Brent Wheeler at South Plains or Jerry because of the songwriter series, or knew that so-and-so was coming up, or just you kind of hear through the grapevine. And so I don't get a whole lot of people approaching me. I typically seek them out. But I would just say on those occasions, and I get a lot of emails, and I mean a lot, and I run 2 other businesses here in town in addition to this, which kind of goes back to a while ago when you talked about, making it work. And, the thing about it is, this is still even 8.5 years in, and we do a lot of shows. We do a lot of high-profile shows and everything like that, and concessions may be great this month or a little down this other month. We're battling this construction thing out here, and I don't want to harp a whole lot about that, but we are off 25 to 30, 35% every show. In other words, we had 2 shows the other night, should have been sellout, both of them exactly 72%. Well, the other 28% are people that just didn't want to come down and fight the traffic. Well, so I'm not on a soapbox about that, but just to say that it takes sometimes your other businesses to prop up what you're trying to do, because we've got note payments, we've got artist fees, we've got utilities, everything, improvements, fixes, all the kinds of things you want to do. And sometimes there's just not enough at the end. But so just going back to this booking thing, I just want to kind of get that in, that sometimes we have to stretch and make it all work, and the public doesn't have any idea that maybe we were short that month or whatever, and that you had to write that personal check or sell some stock just to make it happen, keep the dream greased, But anyway, as far as the bookings and stuff, I like to really kind of keep my ear to the ground and kind of bounce things off. And I don't have a whole lot of open nights when I'm able to go see, but I like to go to other venues and hear what people are doing. And like I say, you hear good things, but I get approached a lot on emails, and mostly from folks that are trying to tour through the area, and they're trying to piecemeal, or connect the dots, to be able to get from here to Fresno, California, or from Maryland to Fresno. And so they're just sending out these blanket emails, just hoping something will stick, like throwing spaghetti on the wall. And so sometimes it works out, but not that often on upcoming artists. And of course, we would have to use them as an opener because no one knows who they are. And it's a hard time to try to tell someone, I'd love to take care of you, I'd love to have you, but your genre doesn't fit with what I'm doing that night, or I just can't make that work. But professionalism, good quality videos. Oh man, I got a great band. I know they're a great band. I hear things about them, and we should probably book them. But I got a video just yesterday, and I just couldn't believe how amateurish it was. It was a crowd video, and these guys have been around for a decade plus. You would think in somewhere in 10 years that someone had sat down and done a professional video, or they had a friend of a friend or whatever, but they sent the most gosh awful representation of them as a band. And it's like, I don't know. I know you're good, but that's not what you send out to represent yourself. So I would say good quality promo materials. If they have the EPK, then you know that they have checked these boxes. They've got video, they've got links, they've got, a bio, they've got these things that you need. Like if I book someone, I need supporting, materials, and that's just job one. Know how to present and promote the product that you have, and not to make it sound commercial, but everyone has a CD or a download or a T-shirt or whatever to sell. Think about the marketing of your band and your act in the same way. It's just got to look right, sound right.
So I think that's so important, and I think the level of artists you work with, where they are in their career, makes a big difference on what they can produce in terms of that, of the EPKs and the quality of the videos and stuff like that. I think with the technology that we have available and the people that you can access, whether you're a new songwriter, and there's a new photographer out there. For every new songwriter, there's a new photographer out there, and you can get with your cell phone now, you can get a good video but it's just being intentional about it. You don't have to spend a fortune to book a gig. I don't believe so. I just think you need to be intentional about the effort that you're putting behind it. Like if a crowd video, if the person's in the back of the room or outside stage, you're not getting any of the volume. Give your cell phone to a friend that will make it a point, and stay sober, and at the show, and get a good video for you. And then when you look at that and you're like, man, that's not good enough. If it's not good enough, don't send it out. If you're not going to be proud of it, but you don't have to hire somebody and spend $5,000 on a video to, but you can put that photo on cinematic mode, stand where the speakers are good, and get a good video for yourself. Because what it reflects to us, in my opinion, is that if that's the product that you think is what will get you the show, is that what you're going to show up and give me at the gig? So you don't have to spend a fortune on it, but you can be intentional with your network and your resources to get you the things that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% great advice. One comment that I'd love to make in this is, I had someone tell me one time, and you guys can echo whether this is true or not, is that generally people that are booking, or somehow, I hate to use this term, but above you in the industry, somebody that has something you want, a venue, a label, or whatever, these people are terrifyingly busy. Continually, they don't have a moment to breathe. So one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given was literally to contact the person, and when you don't hear from them, follow up with, I know you're really busy and probably haven't had a chance to look at my EPK yet. I just wanted to follow up with you, send it to you again, because they're acknowledging what you guys are up against, because you're all in business. Everybody has to make a living, and sometimes, the toilet is more important because it's overflowing.
Yeah, I would say also that there are many those blind, scattered to the wind kind of emails that you get. Sometimes I don't reply to them. You just can't reply to. I get dozens a day for multiple businesses. But I really do try to make the effort, and especially if someone is tenacious, they're diligent about coming back. Even if it's something I know I'll never book, and I just, I try to take that couple of minutes and say, hey, Sam, man, appreciate you reaching out, but what you're doing just doesn't work in our theater setting. Might work great in a club, might work great, outside at a festival type thing, but for a seated hard ticket situation in historic theater, and so I try to give some context and explain, not just, hey, I don't like your music, or I don't, I try to be kind, because everybody, we all do our thing. Everybody has their place in the world and their place in the system, and I try to give grace, but sometimes I try to give some constructive criticism if it's something like, that I know that they can work on, or if they've played here, or how come you won't have me back, which is rare. I mean, I can't, maybe 2-3 fingers, right? But just try to give them something back that helps them and explains kind of where we are.
Yeah. Well, you guys had mentioned, I'm going to ask one more question, and not everybody has to respond if you don't want to, but if anybody has a story, like a horror story, what's the worst approach? I think Carly's on this one. The worst approach you've ever seen.
I gladly don't have one. I've had a couple of situations where some openers, they book, and I guess they're used to playing in clubs or something, and so they automatically go to the concession stand or our bar and say, hey, I'm the performer and I need to start a tab or whatever, and then their intention is that we're taking care of it, which we have our own hospitality way. We have it just kind of, and openers, it's just a little different. We pay $100, you pay 30 minutes, you get a good listening audience, and that's pretty much what I've got, but that's kind of strange sometimes when they'll just be presumptuous and just go start a tab with no intentions of paying in. It's like, we just don't operate that way. And my girls don't know that, whether, so that's the worst thing I've had, is just presumption.
Well, and mine is it's presumptuousness. That's because you really, as the artist, you don't know. We are responsible for paying you what we said we were going to pay you, but you might not know how we're going to pay you how that's actually, we're going to pay you, but it might be hard to get it done. But this one just happened, and I had sent an email to a Texas artist that has a booking agent, and because I really enjoyed this artist and I wanted them to come back to my venue. I wanted to talk about a couple shows, an acoustic one and then maybe a full band one, and I just sent the email, I'm reaching out, like I'm wanting to book your person, and I just sent an email and I was like, hey, so-and-so, I'd love to have so-and-so back, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk. And so a couple weeks go by. And then I get an email from the booking agent that says, hi, we have X artist coming to your venue on X date. Look, we got it. Look at that, exclamation mark. And I was like, I called a friend of mine, I called Adam, and I was like, did I miss something? Like, I went back and looked through my text messages because my brain doesn't work sometimes. And I was like, did I miss something? Did I have a conversation where I was like, oh yeah, these dates are available? And I'm like, no, I didn't. This booking, and I sent it to my friend that also is real involved in the industry. And I was like, this is insane, right? This is insane that they just told me when that artist was playing at my venue. Like, no idea. Am I open that day? Do I think a full band show would work? What am I, I was like, so after I, calmed myself down, I gotten confirmation that I wasn't insane. I sent back an email and I said, hey, so-and-so, did I miss an email where we discussed potential dates and the kind of show that we would be booking at my venue? If so, I am so sorry. But, and then I went on to say like why that doesn't work. And, it was the Sunday of the big Stillwater show. So everybody's going to be in Stillwater, and that person is, the same kind of crowd. It's a Sunday, so I don't need a full band rock and roll show. I need like none of it worked. And I said, but I still am really committed to making some dates work. Just let me know. And the email that came back was, okay, I'm sorry, we'll circle back around. And I was like, yeah, it's just like I wish that every person that sent me an email I could book, but I can't. I absolutely can't. And so I need to take your feelings into consideration when I book or don't book a thing. But, as a little sensitive soul, take my feelings into consideration too, because I might be trying my hardest and can't make it work. But I was just floored. I was like, oh, you do? You do you? And so anyway, that's
Thank you for taking over booking for
I was
me.
like, okay, great.
We got time for one more, Mary.
Okay, this is just a best practices thing that I've encountered. approaching me or anybody else on the panel when they're in the middle of running something is typically not the best time to try to give your information and give your spiel. I always feel so bad when people try to catch me at First Friday, but I'm in the middle of managing the entire thing. And I can't, like, unless you're giving me something, I'm not going to remember who you were. I'll just have a vague memory that it's somebody who asked about music. So really, like, if you do catch me or maybe anybody else and you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself if it's a good time, and then send a follow-up, that's typically the best way. Another kind of best practice thing I ran into recently was a musician who didn't know how she was going to pay her band because she was contracting them from across the area. So I booked her. Our process is to pay after the gig is completed. We always do that, especially if it's a new group, because I need to make sure that you're going to show up and complete your set. So we give checks at the end of the gig, but she was really adamant that she get paid in advance because she needed to work out how she was going to get her guitarist there, and that's just not the venue's responsibility. So, if you have questions about those terms, ask them in advance, but, it's kind of a gamble if we haven't worked with you before.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're not your loan officer. Okay, guys, we are just about out of time. I know each of these people very well. They are all kind individuals, and I'm sure you can respectfully come up to them and say, hey, can I ask you a few questions? I'd really like to thank all of you, Micah, John, Mary, Carly, Daryl. You guys are the best, and thank you for being part of what makes Lubbock really special. And Turkey.